Today, in our society, and after all, we are living in a society, we are forced to predict either side. Red, blue, green, purple. Don't swallow them blue pill constructs. Third party or not, it's all the same, man. The politicians are evil, and I'm the devil. I used to not believe in that I'm the devil, until something happened to me. Something spine-tingling. I worked at an ice cream parlor in New Jersey. My job was typical. Making sundaes, milkshakes, ice cream scoops, and if a cockroach snuck in there, whack it with the ice cream scoop. I was ringing up a customer. He was very angry at me, and hell, who could blame him? I just assumed he was short, fat, and bald, so that's why he was angry. You know, he reminds me a lot of somebody's dad. He wanted extra nuts on his sundae, so I complied. Now he really reminds me of somebody's dad. As I was scooping the nuts in, I could see a VHS tape. Now, how in the funkin' wagnalls did it get in there? Anyway, I gave him his sundae, and he went off with his life. Nothing happened after that. So I looked at the tape. Lost episode of the presidential debate. How is this a thing? I shouted out loud, terrifying the customers, but I didn't care. I make $7.25 an hour. We need UBI here in this country. I have a right to yell. You don't understand the shit I go through. You don't. Fuck you. I got home and put the VHS tape in the VCR player after I got the coax cable set up. I sat down and I know it's a choking hazard, but I watched this with a bag of Haribo frogs. Ribbit. Yeah, the crazy frog. The tape started as normal, dat boy, with the news intro. It was my favorite channel, Fox News. There was Bill O'Reilly. Again? Instead of his normal self, his head was shaped like a bean. Bean O'Reilly! Thank you for watching. Welcome to the first presidential debate. Tonight is our first presidential debate, and we're getting ready for tonight. Our two candidates, George Jetson and Steve Urkel, are ready to debate on many spooky topics. And the debate starts now. That's weird. I thought he got fired for sexual harassment. Oh well. He is a human being. We all make mistakes. The camera cut to a stage filled with guests and two podiums. Oh my gosh, my golly, the audience consisted of skeletons. Oh no. They were wearing human clothes. It wasn't anything too spooky, so hey. The camera cut to the moderator. And although I was expecting Christopher Wallace, it was... Oh my. I can't believe it. It was none other than... Droopy Dog.
Hello. Thank you. Welcome to the first presidential debate. I'm your moderator, Droopy Dog. Nobody likes me. Today our two candidates meet face to face to debate and answer many topics. Here are the candidates today, starting with the Republican nominee, George Jetson.
George Jetson walked out and waved to the audience. He looked cool wearing a suit with a leather jacket. He also had sunglasses on, so come on, you can tell he was cool. I mean, seriously.
Thank you all, said George. Introducing the Democratic nominee, Steve Urkel.
Steve Urkel came and waved. He was wearing a suit but had his overalls on. That made no sense.
Thank you all for having me. It means so much.
Steve said as he looked at the audience. Both George and Urkel shook hands, however. Steve jumped when shaking his hand. Oh, what a grade school prank. It turned out that George had a hand buzzard on him, causing him to laugh at Urkel's misery. They both walked to their podiums and looked at Droopy. Who couldn't?
Thank you guys for showing up. We have many topics to discuss tonight. Be respectful and kind to one another.
Droopy Dog stared directly at me.
Be kind. Rewind.
Wow.
Our first topic is the recent Taco Bell menu changes. George, what is your take on this? Mr. Urkel has disapproved of the changes, saying that 80% of the menu... George, what are your thoughts?
He cleared his throat. Thank you. You see, I don't like Taco Bell. I think their food is disgusting. I eat my food in pill forms, so I think the restaurant decides to do what they want. There are two sides to the camera, one of George and Urkel as George was talking, and Steve could simply just shake his head.
Mr. Urkel, your thoughts?
Droopy said.
Yes, I do agree that changing the menu is wrong, because people have the right to order a quesarito at 3 a.m. This is what America was all about. And you see, George is lying, and you want to know why? Because...
He had a remote in his hand and clicked on a button. It was a projection board. He clicked another button and showed a photo of George eating Taco Bell.
Did I do that? Our Republican nominee claims that Taco Bell is disgusting. But what is he doing here? He's clearly eating Taco Bell.
George was shocked. Fake! That's baloney! That could be any orange-haired man! The skeletons began to gasp and make ooh noises, clacking their jaws together. Wow.
Then what is this Twitter post, George?
He flipped to a tweet that showed George eating more Doritos Loco tacos while drinking a Baja Blast. The tweet had a caption that said, Happy Cinco de Mayo! Still fake! George said, shaking his fist as Urkel was chuckling. I don't like Taco Bell. I'm clearly a Chipotle person.
All right, George,
said Droopy as George was bickering.
Will you explain the photos? You are the presidential nominee, and you have to be honest with your voters.
It's fake news, I tell you. Lies. That is all. That reminds me of another orange-haired man. There must be parallels to this debate.
My next topic is for you, George. There has been a controversy that you are not a real man. There is a conspiracy theory saying that you are not human. We'll avoid this topic and haven't released their health records. Why is that?
That's a personal question, but frankly, I will answer it. I am an actual man. My testicles can prove it, and I don't need to release my health records because that's the invasion of privacy. Urkel laughed at the corny joke and picked up a megaphone.
You are not a real man. Just admit it. Just like you killed your family over a sequential blunder.
Is this true, George?
Droopy asked, worried.
Did you kill your family?
Absolutely not! They died in a trash compactor, he said, showing a fight-or-flight response, typical politician. Urkel still speaks in the megaphone.
Then release the investigation reports.
No! Invasion of privacy! This proves that he murdered his family. Who wants this jackass to be president?
This actually reminds me of another case you two were in. You both appeared on Judge Judy. George, you sued Urkel for $5,000 over an assault. He countersued you because you teabagged him first and he won his case. George, do you still teabag people?
George banged his fist on the podium with such angrily anger. Hell no!
Language!
Urkel said in the megaphone. He put the megaphone down and hadn't used it since. No! I've never teabagged anyone in my life. I am a good man trying to survive in a world that isn't futuristic.
Well, Mr. Jackson,
Droopy said,
since you have run for president, you have teabagged a total of
Droopy checked a cue card.
576 people in your campaign. You teabagged your employees, Urkel, Kermit the Frog, and even Academy Award nominee.
Droopy stared very closely at the cue card, trying to read out the font.
Bradley Copper. You even wrote on Twitter, and I quote, "When I become president, I will teabag all you motherfuckers. And I will teabag the entire motherfucking universe." Anyway, do you teabag people, George?
Well, listen here. Why don't you ask about how Urkel brought out skeletons with baseball bats to beat up an innocent Mormon father from New Jersey? Why don't you bring that up? Urkel was shaking his head and laughing.
That's not true at all,
he said.
But we're not talking about that. Answer the question to your voters,
Droopy responded. What about that Steve Urkel is actually Jaleel White? What about that he stumbles like Cosmo Kramer every single time? What about...
Will you just shut up, man?
Urkel screamed out loud, looking very disheveled. The skeletons began to clap and make woo noises. It was obvious who was winning this debate.
All right, since we're not getting anywhere with that, let's move on to our next topic. Our next topic is on lost episodes, the episodes of television shows that somehow were not available to the viewing public. This has become a trend for the younger generation. What are your thoughts on these tapes?
Why the hell is he asking a question like that? Isn't that interception? Well, you see, Droopy, said George, they are totally harmless and good for the kids. Simple. I rest my case. He pulled out a faggot. That's cigarette in French. I'm not homophobic. I live in a house.
Sir, I don't think you can do that on TV,
Droopy said. Fuck you! I can do what I want! He gave Droopy the middle finger. I spit out my Haribo frog and it landed on the TV screen. This is unacceptable! I screamed out. Not doing anything to stop this. I mean, I guess I could go vote, but whatever.
Well, I think the tapes are harmful to children,
Urkel said, trying to act rational while George kept mimicking him. He even mimicked his laugh.
Not only are they violent and show kids that blood is not real and that it's hyper-realistic garbage, I need to set an example for the young ones.
Will you call for a ban for lost episodes if you were elected?
Nope. George flicked his cigarette, hitting it on Droopy's head. Oh, Droopy said. As for that, I'm discounting lost tapes for $5.76. Can he do that as a president with an executive order? I can hardly tell anymore.
You can't do that,
Urkel said.
The first thing I will do in office is to ban these lost tapes. We need to make our country great again.
Now that just sent a chill down my spine. Bullshit, George said. He was making Urkel very mad with every little gesture he made. To be honest, I'd be mad too.
No cussing,
Droopy said.
my final question tonight, thank God, is something that hasn't been in our country for so long. The secret decoder ring. It's a powerful tool that can unlock many things. Urkel, what is your stance on this? Do you want to use it as president or not?
No, I've seen countries use this ring, and it's the most evilest thing in the world. It needs to be locked up.
Just like you need to be locked up with Jeffrey Epstein, George said jokingly, I hope. That made Urkel lose it, and me as well.
Listen here, you orange shit!
Urkel ran to George and began to beat the shit out of him. A huge rumble began. The skeletons cheered, and the sound of the Jerry Springer bell went off. Chairs were flying as all hell was breaking loose. But Droopy just sat there, not stopping the fight.
Gentlemen, please calm down. You guys don't need to be fighting,
he said. George was getting his ass beaten viciously while Urkel screamed out,
Did I fucking do that?
Went on for the rest of the showing with no cuts or abrupt ends.
Thank you for watching our first and hopefully last presidential debate. We hope to see you right back here again in 2 weeks for our vice presidential debate with Bob Saget and Phoenix Wright. I will be the moderator this time. Have a good night and take care, I guess.
Well, the tape stopped playing, and I just stared at the Haribo frog that I'd spat out onto the screen. It was a charming decoration, really. I heard a knock on the door, and I answered it. It was the angry customer from today, but this time, he was extremely pissed.
Hey, asshole, when I told you about my sundae, I said coconuts instead of nuts,
he yelled out.
I am allergic to nuts.
Oh no, what have I done? I couldn't believe this. He grabbed me and dragged me outside to where George Jetson and Steve Urkel were waiting. The man grabbed my arms while George and Urkel beat me repeatedly. They began to kick and break every bone in my body. I developed a severe chill down my spine. George Jetson teabagged me. They left me severely beaten to die. They burned my car down. They took my homemade ice blue raspberry vodka, lemonade, ice blue raspberry lemonade, Kool-Aid UV blue vodka, and ice, my bag of Haribo frogs. What's the point anymore? There is none. I was left in critical condition with what happened to me. It only took a Shaquille O'Neal icy hot patch to fix everything. After what I saw, my views on politics had changed forever. They take everything from you and they shed your dignity. You know, I've thought long and hard about who I'll vote for this year. That's right. I'm voting third party. I'm voting for George the Ostrich. He has good views. He'll make a difference. And he certainly won't bury his head in the sand.